Welcome back to the Online Women's Basketball Summit. Today's guest is C. White. C is the Associate Head Coach at Bentley University. C, welcome to the call.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So we're going to be talking today about how Coach Stevens and C have built a national powerhouse in Division II with the Bentley Women's Basketball Program. So C, let's talk about first, I know you played for Coach Stevens, so let's talk about your background as a college basketball player, and then we'll kind of progress in how you got into coaching.
Okay, well, I grew up in Westwood, Massachusetts, which is 20 minutes south of here. So growing up, Bentley was always in the media and in the news. And I think back then, the Bentley-Stonehill rivalry was like the UConn-Tennessee, at least it was in my mind. So Bentley was just a dream school for me, and I just would go to a ton of the home games, and I just started falling in love with the place, as a freshman, sophomore in high school.
So talk about when you actually played at Bentley. You had a pretty stellar career at Bentley. So just talk about your experience, the success you had playing.
Well, it truly was like a dream come true. Bentley was my dream school. And growing up, I was, not really the basketball build or type of player. I was always the smallest, scrawniest kid on the floor. So I had big dreams. Not only did I want to make the team, but I wanted to get a scholarship. And I think back then it was pretty laughable for, some of my coaches and some of my teachers and just, people in the community, because I was just so small and Bentley was just so good. But my dream came true, and I got a scholarship here, and I just lived every day to just keep, being a bigger contributor on the floor and making it, worthwhile for them as well. It was the best 4 years of my life. And because of that, I'm still here. In my mind, I'm living my dream every day, still being able to be a part of it. But to be able to give other student athletes the same opportunity that I was given is just like an amazing job.
So when you were playing basketball, did you know you wanted to become a college coach?
I didn't. I went the business route. Bentley has a phenomenal business program. And so I ended up studying marketing. And I thought I would somehow be involved in athletics in some way. But I wasn't dead set on coaching. And when I graduated, I was going to play overseas, and then I decided against it. I'm a little too much of a homebody. And Coach Stevens asked me to volunteer and stay on, volunteer here and help the point guards behind me, develop. And I thought that was going to be awesome. So I stayed on and did that. And then after that year of volunteer work, Kathy Delaney-Smith hired me at Harvard as the second assistant. So I just sort of got thrown right into it, and then I've never looked back. I think it's going into my 15th season, so it's just been awesome.
So how long did you work at Harvard before you came back to Bentley, right?
I was at Harvard for 1 year, and it was incredible. Kathy Delaney-Smith's amazing. I think we were undefeated in the Ivy League and went to the NCAAs. It was just a phenomenal year. And then the head job here as the first assistant opened up, so I came back after that year.
Got it. And you've been there ever since. So it's about 15 years, you said.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit the differences for the college athletes and the coaches listening out there. What's the difference really playing D1 and D2 with like the scholarships and more so like the commitment to these student athletes?
I would say it depends on the level in which you're playing, D1, D2, or D3. You could be at an extremely high caliber school, and the commitment level and the focus and the goals are all pretty much the same. I think the difference between 1 and 2 is, like you said, there is some difference in terms of commitment, in terms of time. We don't require our athletes to be here in the summer for summer session. They go home, they can do whatever they need to do. Some are, from different countries, and some have big time jobs or internships. So I think that's a big plus for us, that they can just sort of go abroad or do whatever they need to do in the summer. And then when they come back, they're geared up and ready to go for preseason. I also think that there is a nice, healthy balance, and I'm not saying that there isn't in Division I. There's some of the most unbelievable academic institutions, Division I, but I think there is a very healthy balance in Division II, where academics truly does come first, and then athletics. So it's nice to have a little bit of everything, where you have, some serious on-court work, you have some serious in the classroom time, and not one overpowers the other. And you also have time to be, have a social life as well.
That's important. So with D2, can they get like full athletic scholarships to play basketball like D1 does?
Yeah, so I'm not sure every D1 school has 15 scholarships, but most have 15. And the Division II scholarships in our league, most of the schools have 10. So we're not allowed to have any more than 10 full scholarships.
All right, fair enough. But if they're good enough, they can easily get a full ride to play in D2.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so you guys won the national championship 2015?
14.
14. All right. So 2014, Bentley women's basketball won the national championship. So talk about kind of like the traits, habits that you guys have instilled into the program that you think make you guys so successful pretty much year in and year out.
Well, I mean, that was a very special year. 2014, this team they were undefeated. They were 35-0, and then they went and won the national championship, which was just beyond a dream come true. It was just incredible. They were made up of some of the most driven and motivated players I've ever coached. It all started with the leadership of that senior class. We had 7 seniors, and we only played about 8 players, when push came to shove in a big game. At the end of the game, they were playing about 7, 8. But these were the kind of, student athletes that the second they got on campus, their goal was to win a national championship. And their junior year, they were upset at home on our court. And that was just that was the reason that they won the whole thing, to be honest. That hurt really bad. And they came back that September, and they were ready to go. And there was no stopping and no denying these players. They were driven, and it was basically get on this train or it's going without you to the younger classmen. And they just set a great tone and standard, and they just provided these younger players, like, this is how we do things here. And they upped the level. And then, off we went. We were pretty much on their joyride, which was incredible. I would say, in general, the reason that Coach Stevens has always been successful and has been, one of the winningest coaches in the country is it starts with her, with how she does things. She calls it the Bentley way. But it starts at the top, and then it starts with who the players you're bringing in. The recruiting is a really important piece with continuing with your culture and your success. You have to get great people before you get great players. Any team has to have really good athletes and really good players to win consistently. But if you're not getting great people, you're not going to have the kind of success that you need to have. So that's the most important thing, is that these kids they're really good people. And when we're recruiting, we call it the Bentley kid. You can tell, oh, there's a Bentley kid on court 4, or there's a Bentley kid on court 10. And that kid stands out right away. They're the kid that will run through a wall and then pick up the kid that they knocked over. They're good people first, and that helps everybody else jump on board and know this is how we act and this is how we do things. And there's a right and a wrong way to do everything. And these kids are sort of on they're seen through a magnifying glass with the things that they do, not just on campus, but, in society. And they have to do things the right way all the time.
I love that. That's awesome. So pretty much preseason will be starting soon. When do the kids come back on campus?
So our freshmen just moved in yesterday. It's a very exciting day. They had their convocation, which was awesome. And, we're starting to feel the buzz and the excitement because all the new players are on campus and they're getting acclimated. Bentley gives our freshmen and our transfers about a week before all the upperclassmen come on campus to get acclimated, to figure out, how the campus works and where everything is. And I think that's been very successful for all of the Bentley students. And our upperclassmen come at the end of the weekend, so they come Sunday, and we get going with classes on Monday. We don't start our preseason workouts until about a week later, and then everybody's sort of settled in and acclimated, and then we get going with preseason workouts.
So what will you guys the focus, the emphasis will be on in the preseason? And then kind of a question off that, do you guys have a strength coach, and are you lifting on 2 to 3 days a week in the preseason?
Yep. So our preseason, we have, only the 8 hours allotted and only 2 hours on the court. So we're governed by the NCAA to only do 2 hours of on-court work. So we'll be doing our on-court work for 2 hours, and then our strength coach does his work with them the other 2 or 3 days in the weight room or on-court agilities. All that emphasis without a ball. So agilities and lifting, weight training. And yes, our strength coach is fabulous. He works them really hard. But again, you can only push a player as far as they want to go. You need those players that are extremely driven and motivated, not just in the weight room, on the court, but again, in the classroom as well.
Nice. So obviously lifting in the preseason, do you guys lift in season when the season's in full sway?
Yes, we do. We lift in the season. We lift less and not as often. And typically we'll have a two game week. So we might play, Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday. That can get tricky mid-season where it's just there's not enough time to put a lift in as well, or 2 lifts in during the week. They need a mandated day off as well. And, you want to give them a full day of nothing. So we sometimes do body weight lifts during the season, December, January, when it really starts to get crazy. And we'll do body weight lifts instead of actually pushing the weights around.
Nice. I love it. I love, number one, that you guys put an emphasis on strength training. I think there's a lot of basketball programs out there that do not. So that's amazing. So to kind of go off topic a little bit, what are your thoughts on kind of the early sports specialization that's going on right now with the young females out there, and they're basically playing basketball from the age of 10 all the way until they getting to college? I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think with each different athlete, it depends on what they want to do. I think a lot of this is parents seem to be pushing, sports specialization at an early age because we'll get a scholarship if we really focus. I'm not a big believer in that at all. I played every sport you could play. I just wanted to be active and out and involved. Basketball was my absolute passion, but I didn't start to specialize until maybe my senior year in high school. And I think I might have even finished my soccer season and then and continue to play 2 sports in high school. So I think for young athletes, it's really important to meet new people and try new things and give their body a break. The muscle memory from different sports is a real thing. And if you're only using these muscles and, you're not using other muscles that you could be using playing maybe soccer or lacrosse or hockey, I don't think that helps. And I think it can really have a young athlete really burn out and just be sort of sick of it before it even really gets going, which would be, in high school varsity athletes or college. So I'm not a big fan of sports specialization, especially as a young athlete. I would rather them just, enjoy it and try everything and then find out what you're really most passionate about. And then maybe you can gear towards that sport a little bit later in life, junior, senior year, or maybe just in college.
I think that's some great advice. I think like these athletes forget that once you're going to college and you're playing, D1 or you're playing a high level D2, I mean, you're eat, sleep, and basketball for the most part from September until March or April, depending on how long the season's going. And then in D2, I love that actually you guys let them go home for the summer, but there's a lot of D1 programs. They're not. They're going to be on campus. So I think these kids need to realize when they're in college, they're going to play that one sport. It's important that they still love the sport. But also the injuries. I think the injuries are crazy, and a lot of it is just the overuse. So I would love to get your opinion on kind of like the ACL kind of injuries that are happening a lot with female athletes or female basketball players. Kind of your thoughts on that. Any advice you think that we can help to try to clean it up?
Yeah, I think there's so many myths with the ACLs, and there's so many different beliefs of, it could have been this, maybe it was because of this. And you want to hear and listen to all of them because you want to tackle this problem. And this is a major issue for all athletes, for all female athletes, but a lot in women's basketball. And I think the people that know what they're talking about should be the ones that are talking about this issue. I have zero credibility and zero know-how in terms of ACL prevention and recovery. So I won't even pretend to give my thoughts. I think that the people that are, they're well studied in this, they need to be the ones that are getting the information out there on ways that we can prevent this, because it's crazy that it's everywhere. And I think it comes down to, great strengthening of all the muscles that protect your kneecap. And there are people out there that know exactly how to do that. And they can look at a body the way that somebody jumps or plants and see, okay, you're more prone to this, so this is what we need to do. you doing something like this and getting the word out there and speaking to strength coaches and trainers and people that know what they're talking about is so crucial for young athletes to really zero in on this and start to do the work that they need to do to prevent. And we can be preventing these injuries rather than rehabbing them.
Nice. That was the perfect response, and I kind of just threw a curveball at you a little bit. No, I mean, I love that that you're the basketball coach. That is your expertise. You coach them up well. I love that like the strength coach needs to kind of take care of the ACL injuries, obviously the strength and conditioning, and kind of my goal with this was obviously to bring attention to the program that you guys are developing at Bentley. D1, D3. Strength and conditioning, ACL prevention, kind of the realm of everything these athletes encounter being a female athlete. So one more question, then I'll let you go. Being that you were obviously a college basketball player and now you are a college coach, what would be a couple pieces of advice you would give to the young female basketball players out there that want to play college basketball or just athletics in general?
Sure. The advice I'd give to the young athletes that really this is their goal and their dream to play college college basketball or any college sport is just, for me, it wasn't really in my cards to be a college basketball player or to be a scholarship player. But the hard work of just getting off my butt every day and doing something to benefit and to better myself, to get me closer to my goal is what you need to do. You can't just talk about it. You have to do something about it. And for me, it was silly, and I got picked on all my life till this day. I kept a journal, and I wrote everything I did every single day in my journal. And before bed, if it wasn't enough, then it wasn't time for bed. And I did that for 4 years to make my dream come true. And as silly as it seems, I just turned every single thing into a workout. And because of that journal, because of the hard work that, you got to motivate yourself to get up and to do something every day. For me, my dream came true. So I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is your grades got to be good. I know you're sick of hearing that, but they got to be good. And you have to be extremely self-motivated, and you have to do what it takes and then some to better yourself to get to that next level.
I love it. I always try to tell my athletes, get 1% better each day. They can always try to get better at something. And that was a great piece of advice because most of these athletes are not going to play professionally.
Right.
So they need to focus on being a student first, then an athlete, and figure out what they're going to do after basketball's playing. So, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad that we got the time to kind of highlight what you guys are doing at Bentley because I think you guys are doing amazing stuff, and I can't wait for people to hear this. If people want to look at what you and Coach Stevens are doing or email you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, have them shoot me an email, and they can come and sit in on a practice, or we can have an X and O's meeting. As soon as the season starts, people come and sit in on practice all the time. If they just shoot me an email, they can come anytime they want, preseason individual workouts, postseason workouts, or in the season for practice, and they can just sort of, take notes at practice and then, ask her questions afterwards or before. So that's fine. Just have them email me.
Awesome. I am definitely going to email you because I need to stop by and see you guys. But it's been a pleasure, and thanks again for talking with me.
Thank you, Jen. Talk to you soon.